The first warning came on a rainy Tuesday morning in Portland, Oregon, when my mother-in-law, Serafina Vale, who everyone believed was still too weak to walk without assistance after a serious stroke, quietly locked the back door, pushed her walker aside, and whispered, "Don't call Everett yet, because there are things you need to see before he gets home." I had spent 6 months believing that Serafina needed constant supervision after her stroke, so watching her cross my kitchen with careful but confident steps felt almost unreal, especially when she told me that my husband Everett had been managing her accounts, property, medical paperwork, and even some of my financial decisions while repeatedly telling everyone that neither of us was capable of handling complicated matters alone. Instead of taking me to a bank like I expected, Serafina asked me to drive her to a small records office across town where she had arranged for an independent financial advisor named Alistair Rowan to meet us with copies of documents she had quietly requested during her rehabilitation. And as the rain hammered against the windows, she revealed that she had discovered unusual payments connected to a private investment company Everett had never mentioned to me. Alistair carefully explained that some of the transactions were ordinary household and medical expenses, but several transfers totaling nearly $31,000 had no clear documentation, while a separate set of documents showed that Everett had recently attempted to restructure ownership of a rental property I had inherited from my late father. And when I stared at Serafina in disbelief, she simply said, "He didn't become a different man overnight, Marlowe. He just became comfortable making decisions while everyone else assumed he was helping." I wanted to confront Everett immediately, but Serafina insisted that we first understand exactly what had happened. So that afternoon we met attorney Isolde Mercer, who specialized in family property and elder financial matters, and she reviewed everything without making a single accusation until she had separated facts from assumptions. Isolde discovered that Everett had not legally taken ownership of my inherited property, but he had prepared documents that could have given him significant control over future refinancing, and she also found that he had been exploring ways to protect certain assets from potential marital claims, while telling me that every paper placed in front of me was routine paperwork, leaving me shaken by the realization that the most dangerous part wasn't one suspicious transaction. It was how easily I had stopped asking questions because Everett had spent years convincing me that numbers were his department. That evening, Everett returned from a business trip carrying flowers and my favorite takeout, behaving so normally that I almost convinced myself the entire situation had been exaggerated. And when he noticed my silence, he sat beside me and admitted that he had lost more than $40,000 in a private investment after trying to recover money he had previously borrowed for another business venture, claiming that he had planned to replace everything before I discovered it because he was embarrassed and believed he could solve the problem without frightening me. For a moment, his explanation sounded painfully human rather than sinister, but when I asked why he had consulted a divorce attorney weeks earlier, his expression changed completely, and after a long silence, he finally admitted, "I wasn't sure what our marriage would look like if everything went wrong, so I wanted to know what my options were." Which hurt more than any financial number because it meant he had been preparing for a future I had not even been told existed. 3 days later, Everett arranged a family meeting at a community center, supposedly to discuss Serafina's recovery and whether she should move into assisted living, and he arrived with folders, medical reports, property estimates, and a carefully organized presentation that made him look like the only responsible person in the room. But halfway through his explanation, Serafina slowly stood from her chair, steadied herself with a cane, and walked directly to the center of the room before saying, "You keep telling everyone what I can no longer do, Everett, so today I'm going to show them what I can." After which she placed her medical records, banking statements, and legal documents on the table, explained that she had been fully aware of her finances, revealed the questionable transfers, and told the family that she had already revoked the authority Everett had been using to manage her affairs. The room became painfully quiet when I placed my own documents beside hers and told Everett that I had hired independent counsel and would no longer sign a single document simply because he told me it was routine. While our daughter, Elowen, revealed that Everett had privately asked her months earlier how she would feel if her parents eventually lived separately, proving that his private planning had extended far beyond the property paperwork. Everett did not scream or collapse into some dramatic confession. Instead, he admitted that he had become obsessed with controlling every possible outcome after his investment failed, that he had used some of Serafina's money temporarily while promising himself he would replace it, and that he had convinced himself he was protecting the family when, in reality, he had been protecting himself from consequences. I did not leave my marriage that night because 24 years together could not be erased by one shocking afternoon. But over the following months, I stopped accepting explanations without evidence, learned how our finances actually worked, opened accounts that were under my direct control, and watched Serafina regain her independence without pretending she no longer needed help when she genuinely did. Eventually, after months of counseling and difficult conversations, I filed for divorce, and during our final mediation, I was handed a stack of documents with highlighted signature lines. Yet instead of signing immediately as I had done so many times before, I read every page, asked questions, and only signed after my attorney explained everything clearly. Because the greatest lesson I carried from that entire experience was not how to catch a dishonest person. It was how to stop surrendering my own voice. And if this story reminded you that trust should never require you to stop thinking for yourself, please subscribe to our channel and share this video with your friends and family. We create entertaining and inspiring stories for our viewers, and your support helps us continue making great content for you.